Hi.
Hey, Lynn, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great. Okay. I have slides. And I just need to see, how do I share my screen?
You should have a green icon at the bottom
I do.
of
Okay.
the video.
Yep. I'm going to share it right now. Okay. You got me?
Yep, you're great.
Okay, let me get rid of everything else. Hello, lady. Ooh.
And we do have people already in.
Yeah.
So we will get started here in just a couple of minutes.
All right. Let me get my Schoology up. I just ended school. So I'm like, ah, East Coast time stinks.
And there is someone from the district, Lynn, who will be doing a quick welcome.
Great.
And I saw you received that email about removing some items and said that you had done that.
I sure did.
Perfect.
Yep. Thank you. All right. I'm just going to present this. Oh, boy. I did not make the Google Doc. I thought, I wasn't sure if that was for tonight or if that was for Friday. There's no Google Doc that we need to make, correct?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Cool. Woo.
All right.
Okay. All right. Good evening. All right. So welcome everyone, East Ramapo Central School District families. We are so excited. My name is Missy Waha, Assistant Superintendent for Professional Development. On behalf of the Interim Superintendent, Dr. Giamartino, we welcome you thoroughly to this Family University session. So just as a reminder, each session it accommodates about 500 participants. So we really encourage you to invite others who might benefit from these sessions. And session information is located on our district website, so you can see what's coming up. And we also are going to continue with the notifications through robocalls to send reminders. Tonight's session actually focuses on, we're so pleased to have our EdTech team, and Lynn is going to be presenting today, and tonight's session focuses on Schoology, which many of your children have been introduced to, and if they have not, they will be, because we know the first day was Monday. They're gradually transitioning into this new system, and we want to make sure that you have an idea of what they will encounter. And it's going to be something simple, just so that you could have some general understanding, and we will continue that as needed. So I turn it over to you, our EdTech team.
Thank you so much. I wanted to just show my face for a moment. Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm a teacher in Denver, Colorado. However, I grew up on the East Coast, so you can't hurt my feelings even if you try, because I'm from New Jersey and I know exactly where Ramapo is. I actually have been to the district offices because I did some trainings there, I think 2 years ago. So I've met some of the teachers, and I know some of the folks that work at the district, and I'm really excited to be here. So I'm just going to hide this, and I'm going to present my screen. We do have a chat. There's a Q&A on the menu, where if you have a question, feel free to drop it in there. But we will be fielding questions at the end, where you'll be able to unmute your microphones maybe and ask a question. So we are EdTech Team. EdTech Team is a company out of California. However, all of our consultants are from all over the US. Some of us live around the world, but the beauty of EdTech Team is that we're all educators and we all use these tools and we use technology in education on a daily basis. So we're not just talking theory, we're talking practicality. So we're preaching what we practice, if you will. So this session has 4 parts. Mostly, we're going to spend our time on what is a LMS, what is a learning management system like Schoology. We're going to talk about and spend a lot of time on what your students, what your children are seeing and how they navigate through using Schoology. So if they're at home and they need your help to figure out what exactly they're supposed to do, you will be very familiar with what the students see and how they interact with the program. Eventually, the district is going to roll out the parent side of the program so that you'll be able to access, once your kids are working individually, I don't want to say in isolation, but when they're self-sufficient in Schoology, you'll be able to utilize the parent portal so that you don't have to check on what the kids are doing. You'll just be able to get some updates and you'll be able to see a parent, like a summary of what your kids are doing. And then we'll take some questions at the end and we'll leave plenty of time for those questions. So moving on, what is an LMS, a learning management system? And some people think that these programs were developed in response to COVID. And in response to remote learning, distance learning, online school. And while they've become very popular and very useful, they've been around for years. I've been using Schoology for over 10 years. But this is essentially what they do. They connect students and instructors through courses where the instructors can deliver content to students, where they can collaborate with students. They can collaborate with, the students can collaborate with each other. We can see that progress tracking and we have grade books. We can ask students to turn in assignments. We can evaluate those assignments, give feedback, and return them to the students for another submission. And we do, there's an opportunity to do practices and exams. It is essentially a classroom. The only thing that's not in the program are the kids working together. Everything else is monitored and dealt with inside the program. So that's what a learning management system is. And there's a lot of them out there. Schoology is one that has been around for a very long time. And what they've been able to do with their program is make it an incredibly robust content repository for teachers. So like I have all of my lessons from 15 years of teaching inside Schoology. So when I need something, I can pull it and I can grab it and put it in to share it with my current students. I also can interact with the students, you know, in the most positive way possible in this particular situation. So here's basically my workflow model. And this is pretty much what a teacher does when they are using Schoology for designing school for kids. So the first step is that we create and curate the content, meaning this is where we create our lesson plans, and our learning opportunities. So I'm using a variety of different resources. I'm using Google Drive, I'm using YouTube, I'm definitely using all of the Google Suite. I'm using programs like Kami, which allow me to mark up PDFs. I mean, I'm using all different kinds of programs. They all integrate with Schoology. So if your kid is watching YouTube and they say, no, it's for school, it might be true. That would be amazing, but it might be true. So once I've created my lesson plan, I stick it in Schoology. And when I stick it in Schoology, I can do all kinds of things. Like I could make a copy of whatever I would like students to produce. I can make a blank copy for them. It integrates with Microsoft, it integrates with Apple, it integrates with Google. So kids can be working on any kind of device they have. The Schoology piece is the same, but it will change depending on the type of device the students are using, and it just does that automatically. No one needs to know, there's no extra buttons. It's very, very simple. So once the student has completed some work, they collect the content and then they create. So whatever it is I'm asking them to do, it might be a video, it might be a slide presentation, it might be, who knows, it could be anything. But I ask them to create and then return their work to me, and that's number 4. So everything is submitted through Schoology. I get a Dropbox, if you will, that's digital, where the kids deliver their work to me. I can take a look at it. That's number 5. I can comment, I can assess it. Maybe I send it back for revisions. Maybe I grade it, you know, it just depends on what I've received. And then when it's completed, I can add it right to a portfolio or, you know, communicate with students and send it right back to them. So it's just a system. And in the same respect that I could be walking around my classroom and returning papers, I'm just doing that digitally now. So I'll pause for a moment. Do we have any questions so far?
No questions have been posted to the Q&A or to the chat.
Wow, I'm shocked. I am that good at explaining things.
You are that good. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. So here's the other thing that I think is pretty great about Schoology. Pretty much any type of program, and I kind of mentioned this, but any type of program that we might use in school, more than likely it integrates with Schoology. So there are, and I'll show you all of this, but there's ways for teachers to utilize these tools and for students to utilize these tools without leaving the program. So let's take a look. First things first, the way students will log in. This is always a question. And since you've just started school, this is probably a question. How do I get to Schoology? Well, for your students, they log into what's called a single sign-on, and your single sign-on is called ClassLink. And what that means is when kids log into ClassLink, they only have to log in one time, and then that login connects to all the instructional technology that the district uses, so the kids don't have to log in a million times. They only have to log in once in the morning, which is great, especially when we're talking about, you know, first graders and second graders. So that is that's a pretty nice function. The next thing is once students are logged in, they're going to get taken to their course dashboard. So this is my school district. I work for Boulder Valley School District here in Colorado, and I'm not going to show anything that is going to compromise any students, but I feel comfortable showing you that this is my dashboard. These are the classes that we use that I have right here on my dashboard. And here's what I'd like you to notice for your students. Across the top, there are courses. So that's all the different classes that I teach, because this is a teacher view. For your students, it's going to be the classes they're enrolled in. We can reorganize this. I'll definitely show you that. Groups are things that are where teachers may want to share information, but it might not be pertaining to a class. So like groups that I have is I have a girls coding group, which is just a bunch of middle school girls that I work with. Some of them are in my classes, some of them aren't in my classes, but we're a part of this group so that I can share our coding projects with them. So a group is just a way to kind of connect across students without having them enrolled in class. Resources is where I store my lessons or other resources that I want to keep for school. And then tools is where I can grab some of the apps. Now, students only have courses, groups, and resources. As we continue across, you can see that I have a search magnifying glass. I can change the view of my courses. Like right now, I just have it as big grid. I can show you what that looks like. This is my calendar. Again, I'll show you what that looks like in a live view. Here's my email. So this is connected to my district email, but students can email me through Schoology, or they can email me through the district. Either way, I have access to communication here. And this bell right here is announcements. So whenever I have a student turn something in, it gets added to the bell. Or if one of the classes I have has some sort of announcement, and I want to show you the different categories, but I do get an alert right here. And then this is just my name, and there's a drop down for my account. So that's pretty much it. I like to organize my dashboard in the order of my class periods. So this is class period 1, this is class period 2, 3, 4, etc. But your kids can do it however they want. So I'm going to show you live. Oh, I don't know. And is there an option where it translates into Spanish? Yes. It's not necessarily the program translates into Spanish. You would use a translator on your computer, on your device. And I can show you that towards the end. Let me try to get through everything, and then I can show you the translation tools. So here's my demo class. So you can see here are all my courses. Let's say I want to rearrange them. I love to see the way kids rearrange their courses. Some do it by color. Some do it by alphabeticals. I mean, it's kind of intriguing the way kids do this. But if I click here on my courses, right here, here's a list of all of my current courses. I have a lot more than what you can see on the dashboard. But all I have to do is just reorder the courses. So if I want to move this purple course to be the first course, and then I want this one to be my second class, I just drag and drop them. There's a line at the bottom, and this says courses that appear below this line will not appear in the dropdown. So maybe I want to switch big skills with something else. That first one that was below the line pops up. There we go. So now when I go back to my dashboard, you can see that the purple course and the blue course, they've rearranged. So that is definitely something that's helpful to keep kids organized and to keep me organized, but to keep people organized. You can have your courses go in a very specific order. So let's go inside a course. So I have this demo course, so there's no membership in here, but I want to show you what we can have inside a course. So teachers, this is a teacher view. I just want to keep reiterating that. This is a teacher view. I will show you the student view in a moment. But when I add materials, that means I'm adding learning activities for students. So I like to keep mine very organized. And lucky for you, I'm doing the training for your teachers. I'm doing some training for teachers at the end of this week. So everything I'm telling you, I'm telling the teachers as well. I just might be going a little more in depth with the teachers. So everything I'm saying, the teachers will hopefully do. But let's say I'm going to add a folder. So one of the things I really like about Schoology is that I can add a folder. We are in week 4 right now, and I can color code that folder. So the way I like to do it is I have my folders, and I'm going to say, this is everything for class this week. Okay. So now I have this folder, week 4. Then inside this folder, I'm going to add a folder for Monday. And Monday's always red. And then I'm going to add a folder for Tuesday. Tuesday's always orange. Or yeah, always orange. I tend to rainbow it. Then I'm going to add a folder for Wednesday, and so on. So the more organized I am, the more organized your children will be. So now when it's time for me to go to the Monday class, here's where I start to add everything we're going to do for Monday. And I want to make sure that we understand all the different types of opportunities for learning that your kids will have inside Schoology. It's very similar to what we do every day in class. So I can add an assignment. I can add a test or a quiz. I can add a district assessment or an assessment that I've downloaded from a different curriculum program. I can add all kinds of files or links. I can add a class discussion, and I can decide if I want the kids to just give their opinion, or maybe I want them to interact with each other. I can add a page. This is just like a straight Word document. I can add a bunch of images, or I can add some sort of package like an educational game or something that might need its own separate link. Here's where I can import from my resources, any of my older or pre-created lesson plans that I use. But here's where you can start to see some of those applications. I can add things directly from, you may have heard of TED Talk. I can add things directly from TED Ed, which is the education side of TED Talks. These are all education apps that I use. And so I can add anything here. So in the end, it gets to be a pretty good looking hierarchy of lessons, of things that we're doing each day. So when I'm in Wednesday here, I click open the folder and I see that there are 4 things to accomplish on Wednesday. Again, I'm the student. I see that there are 4 things for me to do. I can either click here on the first thing, or I can use this next button, and it will tell me what's next. So this is a blank page. I just put this here. And what's next? A get to know each other discussion post. So do you have a pet? What kind? What is her name? You know, again, this was like the first day. And as the teacher, I can decide if the kids can answer each other or not. I mean, I have control over what goes on in my classroom in the same way that I have control over what goes on in my classroom. And then I can go to an article. This one is an article about puppies. And then I can do like a survey. So here's an assignment. So the difference for students is when they get an assignment, they don't have this in progress or submissions. It just says assignment. Here's the directions. Click on the survey, complete it, and submit. So all they have to do is click, and it will take them directly to the assignment. So what I really like about this is I like the way the kids get everything they need to be successful. It's all here. Everything is here for them to go through and be successful in class. All they have to add is effort, which a lot of the times is the hardest thing to get out of kids, honestly. But at least we don't have to worry about a messy backpack, or I lost the worksheet, or I was absent yesterday, or all of those things that they add up and they create this like noise for kids, and they start to lose their ability to be successful because there's so many barriers in the way that have nothing to do with learning. I don't have my pen, I don't have a pencil, my calculator's in my other backpack, I left my book at dad's, and tonight I'm staying with my mom's, you know, like, oh, all those things. That is life. But here, it's all organized and ready for school and ready to go. So, questions on the types of things that teachers can do?
I have not, Lynn, seen questions about the types of things that teachers can do. There are questions that I think you'll be going over when you switch into that student view.
Okay, great. So for my class, we use Google Meet. We don't use Zoom in my district. So I have my Google Meet link pinned to the top of my class so that the kids automatically go into my Meet. Again, I'm going to show your teachers a lot of these little tips and tricks, but I also have a grade book. So I have a grade book for all of your students' work that, that shows up here. So I do a lot of my grading in Schoology. These are all the different things that I can use as the teacher. So I would like to show you the student view. So here's another teacher's class, and she has decided to organize her class with folders, which is great, but she also has everything done by units and by topics. So she has grammar and she has different groups, and then she has weeks all over. Looking at this, for me, this would be difficult for me because I'm a pretty linear thinker. This looks really kind of haphazard and all over the place, but when I click into the week, this is very refreshing to me. And then I know what to do on whichever day, right? That's like very nice for me. I like it, and the color coding stays the same. For this teacher, that's helpful to me. But let's take a look as a student. I think in this one I have a student who, yep. So, oops. Here we go. Nope, sorry. I made a fake kid and now I can't remember where I put them. Yep, that's how it always goes. Let me just grab another kid. One moment. No, I'm not going to be, I don't think I'm going to be able to. But I think I have some screenshots in the slides, so let's take a look. So we just went over this, like what it looks like inside the course. And yes, okay, thank you. This is a student view. So here is what it looks like for a student. And you can see that, oh, they do have resources and tools, but you can see they have the same menu choices at the top that I do. They have fewer things over here. So you'll notice they don't have a grade book. They don't have a lot of those things that the teacher has, but that's okay because they don't need it. Over on the right side, it shows what's coming up in the calendar and when it's due. So like this is due on the 22nd at midnight, and that's the assignment. If I were to click here, I would be taken directly to the assignment. But here you can see what this student has to do. And this teacher really explains a lot about what's going on in this folder, which is really nice. So it just depends on the teacher and how that teacher wants to communicate. So again, here is the folder organization. And then inside the folder, there's other things. Inside there's the different types of learning opportunities for kids. So we already went over these types of activities. And when it's time for your students to submit assignments, there's a couple different ways that teachers can ask kids to submit. So one thing they can do is say, create a submission or attach what you've been working on. So in that case, this is the screen that the kids will see. There's an upload where they can grab it from whatever, if they're using OneDrive, if they're using iCloud, if they're using Google Drive, they can upload something from that they've been working on. They can also create directly from here, or they can grab something out of resources. So let's say maybe I put a math worksheet in there and the kids have to fill it out. It's not something I would ever do, but maybe I would. And they would click in resources and then they would add it. And so it's really, this is just like an attachment. The nice thing about this being an attachment is that they can grab something they've already made, they can create something new, or they can grab something that I've provided. That's like a really nice thing. It's not just like you can only attach one type of file. But this is what it looks like. When I've created a copy or an assignment for each kid, here's what it looks like. So I'm pretending this is my student, Emily Dickinson. She's brilliant, by the way, a little shy. But she's writing a narrative essay, as Emily Dickinson does. You can see that here's the assignment. So right here on the left side is going to be the directions. And then here is her document. So either she created this or I provided it for her. But either way, she has her own copy. She types whatever she's doing right here. And then here's the submission button. So as I was saying before, Schoology gives kids every opportunity to be successful. They don't even have to go to a different screen. Everything is contained inside Schoology. So a student, the way that they've done this is they've gone from one moment. They've gone from this assignment. They've clicked on the document. The document takes them to this screen. They finish whatever they're doing, and then they click submit, and it goes right back to me. That's like kind of a beautiful thing. So now I'm the teacher. Maybe I've graded that narrative, and I can see that, well, Ryan, but let's pretend this is Emily, turned in her document on time, and I was able to evaluate it. I sent her some suggestions, and then I sent it back to her and asked her to revise it. So now she gets in her view, in her assignment view, that it was returned, and she can click on the revision and see my comments. She can make the changes and submit it again. Chances are good it's going to be late, but the nice thing is, and this is something that I'm going to tell all of the teachers, is that we can adjust this and make it not late. I don't think this should be late because she's revised it or he's revised it and changed it to make it better. That makes me happy. So it all works out.
Lynn, can you speak a little bit to that process where if they're using Google Docs or a Google tool and they set it so that it's going to make a copy for students, students are working live, correct? And then they submit through Schoology. There have been a few questions, if you can go back and kind of walk through those screenshots again of what that process looks like and how that collaboration between the teacher and student works.
Sure. First thing I want to show you before we even move past this, I want to show you my drive. So my drive, my Google Drive, automatically creates my drive. It automatically creates a Schoology folder. So my Schoology folder is right here. So inside my Schoology folder is going to be any assignments that I've created, anything that I've added to, anything that I wanted to send to the students. Your students will also get a Schoology folder, and it will automatically organize for them inside that folder. So what I've done in my course here is I had to add and make Google Drive accessible. So the way I did that was under Resources, I went to Apps. And I added my Google Drive. So, oops, I didn't mean to do that. But here's my Google Drive right here. These are all my files. It's a little bit of a mishmash, but I can search for, and that file will pop up. So that's one thing that's great. So let's go back from the beginning. I'm a student. I'm in my class. I have an upcoming assignment. Either I see that here or I see that in my calendar. So these are all assignments that I've given out and when they're due. Post your opinion. And you can see I have 35 calendars because I have 35 classes. So your students, depending on how many classes they have in their dashboard, they'll have that many calendars as well. So I can go in here and I can say I'd like to show all 5 of my classes. And now I have, oops, now I have every single assignment for all 5 of my classes listed on my calendar. If I need to go to this one, I can view this assignment. So this is what it looks like. For students, they do not have the in progress or the submissions because this is the teacher view. It just says assignment. But the way this teacher created this assignment, it made a copy. So here are the directions. I see they're at the top of the assignment. So when I open this, I can't because it's past the due date. Let me get one that's better. Okay. Here is my Google Doc. This is my teacher's assignment. She has provided this for me. And then I just follow the directions and do what I'm supposed to do. If I was a student, the problem is I'm not. If I was a student though, there would be a submit this assignment. So it really looks like this. So imagine that Google Doc, but this is the view. So here's my teacher's directions. Oops, sorry. I scroll down, I type, and then when I'm done with it, I submit it. I can toggle or click between the assignment and my document, but this is really the heart of it.
So Lynn, that is in the case where the teacher sets it to make a copy for the student from Schoology, they're actually opening that Google Doc inside of Schoology and able to work on it and even collaborate with the teacher from inside of Schoology, correct?
Correct. Yes.
That is awesome.
Yep.
And if the student were to, maybe the teacher didn't create a copy for each student, but ask the student to work on something independently, the student could do that from Drive, correct? And then still submit with the screen that you're now showing, where they could pull in something that they've already created as well.
Correct. So this screen gives them the option to upload something from Drive, from their desktop, from OneDrive, from whatever they're using, but it also gives them the option to create a new document with whatever kind of place where they save their files.
Right.
It will automatically, so
you create it.
yeah, so if they're using Drive, it will take them to Drive and it will give them a create whatever kind of thing that they want to create in Drive.
Perfect. Lynn, so going back for a moment to that folder that's created in Google Drive for Schoology.
Yeah.
We have a question where a parent is in their child's Drive and can see the assignments that the student has, but doesn't see a Schoology folder. Does that folder ever get moved, or do you think that maybe these are things that weren't created through Schoology, but that the student has created themselves?
It's all of those things are possible. Okay. There's a lot of things that depend on the way the course is, where the administration is of the course. So it's possible that that button in the overall administration isn't clicked, like to create a folder. In my world, it makes sense to have a folder for each class, not necessarily just Schoology. But you know, your kids can do it however they want. And when the teacher sends them, let me find a class that I'm a student in. I don't know that I have any, but let me see if I do. Come here. When I'm a student, it will automatically, it should, I'm going to say it should automatically make me a folder with assignments in it. Okay. So here is an assignment. I'm a student in here. So you can see, please complete this form. Once I do that, I can submit right from here.
So Lynn, do you suggest for teachers and students more often that they really work out of Schoology as opposed to going straight into those folders? I know with my district's LMS, we really recommend, you know, working from the LMS and then it allowing the LMS to kind of launch and create and build those folders and that navigation, because sometimes things get lost in translation or moved by accident when you access straight through Drive into those automatically created folders.
Yep. So I work in a middle school. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders have a lot going on. And I don't just mean emotionally and physically and everything. They just have a ton going on. And the fewer directions I have to give them, the higher my success rate is. So I try to keep my students inside Schoology like 95% of the time. I put everything in Schoology, and if they do have an outside link or something that they have to go to, I'm very clear about what that is. I always have it open in a new window so that it can always come back home to Schoology, because that's where I've housed almost everything. And when I say 95%, I probably should say 99%. So this submit assignment button right here is what triggers the turn in, where I can upload, where I can create. So here's right here is what I can create. Or I can upload a link, or I can go to my files on my desktop.
Lynn, do you have any suggestions when a student has printed something, completed it by hand, and then how they would turn that in?
Yeah, so if a student has printed something, what I would do is I would take a picture of it on my phone or on your phone, and then I would export that photo to Drive. and then upload it straight from Drive.
Perfect.
So I only have one more slide to share. And the slide that I wanted to share is that Schoology is universal on every device, and it also works on mobile apps. So if you are having trouble with your devices, you can always go through your phone. So on iOS, you can have Schoology. It just looks slightly different because the classes are listed vertically. Then you go inside one of the courses and then you get the same kind of imagery. And it also works on Android, but again, you can see that it looks a little bit different. And this just happens to be a parent app, but the student one looks the same. So you can use this on any type of device. If you're connected to the internet, you can get to Schoology. So all of the things that we've shared, you can see anywhere, as long as there's internet. So questions, ready?
There was one question about a code, the code not working. Do you see any typical?
Yeah. From what I understand from the district, and I know that we have someone from the district whose name you know what, I was listening and then I didn't. But basically at the bottom of each course, there's an access code right here. And this is typically how you join a class. However, some districts, and that's what I'm kind of asking, does Ramapo roster the classes directly from the student information system, or do all the students have to enter the code? I don't know the answer.
The question that was posted said that the code that the teacher sent, the student typed in and it did not work. So that would make me think that they're using codes.
Okay, so if you're using code, well, if they try to type in a code and they're rostering, the codes won't work.
Ah.
So that's why I'd like to know from the district. But it doesn't matter. If you're using an access code, this would help your student join this class. So the teacher should have, you won't see the code. The teacher would have to send the code in an email or some sort of message. And then your student will go to My Courses, and then they'll join a course by adding that access code. You don't need to have the dashes. My favorite thing, if I have to do it this way, is I just copy and paste it directly in here, and that will work. If the code doesn't work, there's a number of things that could have happened there. One, the teacher could have reset the code and not known it. The code could have had a time sensitivity on it. So in that case, if the code doesn't work, it's more than likely it's human problem than it is Schoology problem. And that in that case, I would just, it might be smart to just contact the teacher and let them know.
Certainly, I think contacting the teacher is a great course of action. We're getting, some are saying they're being given codes, some are saying they believe the classes have been rostered. So I did just put the link for the district's request help into the chat. So if you're having specific issues, you can certainly request help through that link, as well as contacting the student's teacher. So okay, so we have an official, students have been rostered. So that would be the reason that the code did not work.
So no code. You don't need a code.
Don't need a code.
Nope, the kids are automatically added.
Yep. And then there was a separate question about a Meet code. So for Google Meet, that is going to be a completely separate topic. You do have a session that will be more specific to those Google applications, but that is going to be a completely different kind of code and work. And that would be provided by the teacher for a Meet link. You would need to be logged into the student's district Google account. Let's see, Lynn, another question. How does a student save courses that they have reordered?
As soon as you've reordered them, it saves like that until you change it to the next time.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, it won't change until you tell the student changes it.
And another question, does the student have to enter the code each time they enter the class? So since it's actually being rostered, they don't need to enter a code at all.
But even if they were using a code, they wouldn't have to. It's a one-time thing. Once you join the class, you're in the class until the teacher removes you or archives the class when the class is over. Someone asked earlier about translation tools. I don't know what's been approved at your district, but what I tend to use is a Google Translate extension. So I will take this URL or this web address of this class, and I'll go into Google Translate, I'll paste it, and I'll translate this page. And I need to choose that I want to translate it into, I'm going to go with Spanish because I'm familiar with your district and I know that that's, but you could see, I mean, I don't know if you saw, there's like a lot of languages here. But I'm pretty sure that Spanish is one of your target languages in your district. So now I translate this page and it thinks about it. And it doesn't seem to want to translate. I wonder what, oh, we have that, I'm going to translate it to Spanish. Let's see if this will work. We had this disabled. No, here we go. So all that does is open a new window here and it starts to translate everything that's on this page. Pretty great. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but I'd say it's better than nothing. So what I got there was it's an extension called Google Translate.
Could you show the reorder process again, Lynn?
Sure. So from my dashboard, I go up to this teeny tiny My Courses. And over here on the right is Manage Courses. So I'm going to reorder this. All I have to do is click and drag to move everything around. There is a line, once you get to a certain number of courses, there's a line that anything below this line, it's not going to appear in the dashboard. So I need to make room. But once I've reordered, this is going to be far left. This is going to be the first course, first line of my dashboard. And there it is. One of the things I'm going to talk to the teachers about is changing these. You can see that all of these are different. That's really helpful when you're trying to navigate this dashboard, especially if you have like crazy named classes like K3, 1A, 7 middle level, you know, like that's annoying. So there you go. Other questions? We have 8 minutes.
So far, so good.
Gosh, we're good at this.
Jenny had her hand raised. Jenny, if you are still at your computer and available, I'll turn on your ability to speak and you can ask Lynn your question. Oh, actually, I apologize, but because of the version of Zoom you currently have, that is not an option for me to be able to do that for you. If you would like to put your question in the chat or in the Q&A tool, you can type it out and then we can address it from there. You already put it on chat. Was it answered, Jenny? Is student work saved automatically?
Yes, ma'am.
I like that answer. Short, simple, yes.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, guys, we have about 7 more minutes if you would like to ask any other questions. I'm also going to go ahead and put an evaluation link into the chat. If you will take a few minutes after we finish up to provide feedback, we'll be able to use that for future sessions. The next session specific to Google in response to a question that we received is on the 23rd, I believe. So that is next week.
And sadly, it won't be me.
It's me.
You guys are so lucky.
Zoom on the Chromebook being blocked, it would be, that's the app itself. So that is a district choice. You would be able to join from the web using Zoom as opposed to the application. So they're having a couple of questions about parent use of Schoology, Lynn.
Yeah.
And if you want to speak to,
Sure.
the student.
Sure. So the request from the district was that we share the student point of view so that you are prepared and familiar to help your students when they need help from an adult. The parent app is, it's an abbreviated version of the student app. So you will see, let me get you the parent view. You will see an abbreviated version of what you can see about the students. So basically, when you log in, and I believe the district is making accounts for everyone, but when you log in, you can add kids. You can add, if you have more than one child who's using Schoology, and then you get to see all of your students' activity. So for example, there's going to be, there's a grade report right here that will show you. It just depends on how the interface is set up. It's not that different though. So then you can see the student activity. These are all the different courses of a student. I know it's really small. I'm trying to make it bigger. These are all the courses that whichever child you're looking at. These are their courses. These are the groups they're in. The grades, you can click right here. And then you can see the different, you can click into each one of these sections right here to see the grades and what your, at times you can see what your student and what your children submitted. I can't say that it's every time, but sometimes. It depends on what the activity is. But you can also see what's overdue, what's upcoming, and then you also have access to all of these classes. You have access to all of the calendars. So if your student is working autonomously, you can still keep up and have those conversations without having to like bother your teenager or ask to see their Schoology, because we all know how well those conversations can go sometimes.
But to not cause confusion, that is not currently available. That requires an additional setup. So for now, you will ask your student to log in and have the opportunity to open up lines of communication with your child and maybe even sit down and talk through those assignments. So a couple more questions were popping in about that, just to
Yeah.
clarify and not cause confusion that
Thank you.
It will be the student login.
Yeah, I think that what the goal of the district is to get the students and the parents comfortable with the student side of things. So everyone's looking at the same view. And then when it's ready and we're all ready, they will enable the parent portal aspect. And we're just not there yet.
Correct. All right, guys. And so there was one more hand raised, and I apologize. I am not sure how to pronounce your name, Mr. or Ms. Miller. If you would like to speak your question out loud, I'm going to give this a try and see if I can choose the allow to talk feature. All right. If you are there, feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, I was still having problem with trying to log into Zoom on the Chromebook. It's still saying that I need permission from the district. So that's the
I can tell you what's going on with that, Vashti. So Zoom is one of those programs that they say that they are educationally appropriate, but they aren't always. So it's entirely possible that the district has some like safety parameters around allowing Zoom.
Okay.
So some districts are using Google Meet, some districts are using Zoom, but they use Zoom sparingly. So in this instance, we were using Zoom because we knew that parents would not have district email accounts, that you'd be using your personal email accounts.
Okay, thanks.
So that would be something that I would either ask your child's teacher or the help desk if Zoom is even allowed.
Okay.
But that would be my guess.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, it is time to wrap up. I am putting that evaluation link into the chat one more time. So if you do have a moment, please go ahead and complete that. And we have enjoyed the opportunity to be with you all today. Lynn, thank you so much. You have been amazing. I have learned so much about Schoology.
Well, it is everything you want and more in an LMS. But thank you everyone so much. This is it's an interesting time, and it's interesting for everyone in the family, not just your kids, not just you, and not just us. It's very, very it's challenging, but it's something that we can do. Well, you are welcome, Abigail. Appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom session. Again, thank you all for joining, and we look forward to seeing your feedback in the form.
Thank you so much.